One of the things I hear over and over from men, especially those recovering from the nice guy syndrome, is the fear of seeming needy. Somewhere along the way, often in our early childhood, we were told, or it was implied, you're too much. Your needs aren't important. In other words, go be a good boy and don't bother me. Now, this might have come from a good parent or a caregiver who was just exhausted, overwhelmed, or maybe dealing with their own issues. Maybe they didn't mean it, but the message got stuck in our psyche. Now, we don't blame our parents or caregivers, but we do need to understand them so that we can explain what happened to us as adults and why sometimes we struggle. And for those of us who grew up as good boys, who did what we were told, the lesson was clear. Stop expressing your needs. Why? Because as children, if we believed that others saw us as too much, they might leave us. And a child being left alone feels that primal threat of death. And so we hide our needs. We learn to suppress them so no one could ever accuse us of being too much again. But it didn't stop there. We also started carrying the needs of others. Somewhere along the way, we formed this false belief that if I take care of everyone else's needs without them asking, they will meet my needs without me asking. And I can't count how many men I've coached to tell me that they're fine carrying the weight of everyone else's needs, especially their wives. They would rather make her happy than risk asking for what they truly want. Now, many even carry the belief that if they can make her happy, she'll want to have sex with them. And maybe that might have worked in the early days of the relationship, when things were hot, alive, and she was a goddess in the bedroom. But over time, things changed. She's busy, she's overwhelmed, she is stretched thin with kids, the house, and bills. And most men, at first, they just keep trying. They make a move, they try to get her in the mood. But after too many failed attempts, the message lands hard. You're too much, and your needs for sex are too much. And rather than speaking up about his needs, the nice husband, afraid of seeming needy, starts to suppress his sexual needs. Now, some suppress them so deeply that they become what I call married incels, resentful, lonely, and disconnected. And one of the biggest fears that I hear from men is this: isn't being needy and seeking validation a turnoff to women? And yes, it makes sense. I mean, you've spent years as the nice husband, chasing approval, people-pleasing, bending yourself in knots to avoid rejection. You know how exhausting it is to consistently seek validation. So when men begin to wake up to the nice guy syndrome, they often swing to the other extreme. They tell themselves that being needy is just validation seeking, and validation seeking turns women off. So they think, okay, if I stop seeking her validation, then she's going to want to have sex with me. But this is just another form of a covert contract, an unspoken expectation that goes, if I do this, then she will do that. But I'm not going to tell her that I'm doing this. And when she doesn't do that, I'll get resentful. So while giving up validation seeking may look like a strength on the surface, underneath it's just another way of hiding, and it leaves a hole, a hunger that eventually drives you right back into the old patterns of chasing approval. But here's the reframe. As a man, your number one emotional need in order to feel connected is significance. That is not the same as validation. Validation says, tell me I'm good enough, approve of me so I can feel okay. Significance says, I matter, my presence makes a difference, and I am seen and valued. Validation is external and it's dependent on someone else's reaction. It's shaky ground. Significance, though, is both internal and relational. It's grounded in who you are and how you live, not in what someone else gives you. And here's the truth that most men miss. Significance is a legitimate human need. If you don't feel significant in your marriage, you're not going to feel safe. And if you don't feel significant in your marriage, you won't feel connected. And you can tell yourself you don't need validation, but that ache for significance is still going to be there because it's hardwired into us. And when it goes unmet, it comes out sideways through anger, withdrawal, resentment, addiction, and endless chasing validation. How does an integrated husband create significance? The opposite of the nice husband isn't a disconnected lone wolf. It's an integrated husband, a man who knows he matters and lives in that way and makes it undeniable. The integrated husband creates significance by living with integrity, doing what's right, even if it costs you. And he lives with presence. He shows up, he's grounded, he's attentive. People feel you. They feel that presence that you care. When you're showing up with presence, when you're grounded and attentive, people feel that. Your presence alone carries significance. Leading with a vision, you chart a path for your marriage and for your life. You give both yourself and your wife a sense of purpose and direction. And you own your own worth. You don't wait for her approval to feel valuable. You embody significance in the way that you carry yourself. And here's the beauty. When a man lives this way, his wife doesn't just respect him. She feels his significance, which means she feels safe, seen, and more deeply connected. Now here's the takeaway. Do not confuse significance with validation. Seeking validation will keep you small and independent. Ignoring your need for significance will keep you lonely and disconnected. Every man needs to feel like he matters. The work here is to create significance through how you live, not chasing it through other people's approval. And if this hits home and you're tired of swinging between chasing validation and shutting down your needs for connection, then it's time to do something different. And that's exactly what I do when I work with men inside the Confident Husband Solution. It's not about becoming a nice guy again, and it's not about becoming a disconnected tough guy. It's about becoming an integrated husband, a man who creates significance in his life, leads with strength, presence, purpose, and he builds the kind of marriage where both people feel safe, connected, and deeply valued. And if you're ready to step into that, check out my website at chuckchapman.com, and you'll see a link there for the Confident Husband Solution. Thanks for your time. This has been the Confident Husband Podcast. I'm your host, Chuck Chapman.